What is up,
What the heck's
guys?
going on?
Where the hell were you at?
Oh, I flew in from
Guys.
Belgium, and boy, are my arms tired.
Where the hell were you at? I hear what you're saying. I'm like echoing. Oh, well, that was weird. Anyway, but we're here now, and that's the good thing. Guys, welcome to Down the Scope, episode 44. I am your host this week, Beridia, and Anakin, the late guy.
Indeed. This week I'm Latekin, so.
Latekin. There you go. Yeah. So Anakin, what's been going on? What have you been doing this past week?
It's been a crazy week. It's today even has just been a crazy day. I'm actually doing a bunch of stuff with the house this week. It's been kind of wacky. My wife's been on spring break this week. She's a school teacher, so she's out on spring break, and there is a wonderful Southeast Texas State Fair area where I live, and we just had to bring the kids out tonight. So we were trying to get back here by 9, and it was extremely tough.
I hear you, man. That's the fair and spring break. That goes together good. Plus twins at the same time.
Indeed.
Yeah, I've pretty much been just taking care of Sammy, and I've been playing some of these newer games that have been coming out, getting a little glimpse of how good or bad they are, so we can talk about that just a tad in a little while.
Awesome.
First of all, I want to welcome everybody for coming out. If you're here, you guys are awesome. I put a video out before the stream, so hopefully we get a little bit more traffic coming in. Hopefully we get a little bit more traffic than last week, but even if we don't, you guys, I see a lot of returning names coming in, so I really appreciate the support, and I know I speak for Anakin as well.
Absolutely.
But in any case, I want to first tell you that I actually got into a beta, and I wanted to ask. I've been waiting to ask you this question. If you had heard of this game before, if anybody in the chat had heard of this game before, and it's a very interesting take on the Minecraft-esque way that the Minecraft age, as you see it.
All right.
It basically takes Minecraft and it mixes it with kind of like a Counter-Strike.
Interesting.
Exactly. It's called Brick Force. Have you heard of it?
I have never heard of this game. I have never even seen mention of this game in any of the game media that I read. That's crazy.
It is it looks like a free-to-play online game. And this game basically, here's how I found out about it, and it
sounds like a 1980s movie with like Jean-Claude Van Damme or something. It's like, what the heck is this, Brick Force?
I know, it's so cool. So basically, here's the deal, right? You make the multiplayer maps, okay, literally like Minecraft. So now you're not just building something to roleplay or just look at. Okay, you're building something that you are going to fight in. You have tons of different weapons, tons of different customization, and basically the characters look like little cutesy. I mean, so it's epic. It's like they're little cutesy block, faces with smiley faces and all that crap, but they carry around Uzis and AK-47. So this morning at like 8 o'clock, I saw a stream. Basically what I do is if I go to Twitch, I'll go to browse and I'll just look at the top, played games, and there was one called Brick Force. I was like, I never heard of that. So fate led me into this room, and I go in there, and it's basically this guy's like 50 beta key giveaway, and I was like, holy crap, how do I get one of these keys? All you gotta do is email the guy. So I'm like, all right, I got a chance to win. So I emailed.
Yeah, well, that's pretty easy. I mean, damn, I wish I could get in Diablo 3 that way or something.
Yeah,
it's like, hey.
I thought, I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna get in this, but there was like 500 viewers, and all of them were sitting there like, oh, I emailed him. I was like, oh crap. He's basically like, if you get a reply, you get a key, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I emailed the guy immediately, and like 2 minutes later, I get the key. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I sat there and watched this guy play.
Oh, customer service. I already like these guys.
I know, dude, I know. So the bad thing is that right now they're in a testing phase where they're doing a stress test on their servers. So they're only doing it through a certain amount of days. So I haven't actually got to play the game yet, which is the bad thing. Because Tuesday through Wednesday is the next stress test when I'm going to be able to play and record some footage.
So
But
there's no NDA or anything. I mean, obviously this is small enough that they don't even care. They're
yeah,
not even trying to enforce anything.
exactly, but the game is so awesome looking. I mean, the customization, the building. I mean, imagine in Minecraft, say you built, a big stone fortress and then a wooden bridge across to another stone fortress. Well, in this game, you can actually shoot the bridge out with your gun. So
Okay,
like,
that was my. Let me tell you, before you even go further, the big question in my mind is, are the levels
yes,
destructible?
yes,
Ah,
certain blocks are destructible. So like you glass, wood, sand, grab all this stuff that in real life would be destructible with a gun. Probably you could shoot through it. You can actually sit there and take out the bridge so that they can't get across. And it's absolutely insane. I mean, it's crazy how awesome this game looks. I cannot wait to try it out. And yeah, it's called Brick Force. And I tell you what, it is gonna be awesome once it hits, and I can't wait to record some footage and hopefully get that online. Maybe show you guys what I'm talking about. But look it up on YouTube. I'm sure there's a video of it. These guys streamed a little bit of the well, they actually streamed a couple hours of the stress test, and it was awesome. It looks like they've got a little bit more work to do. Obviously, it's just a beta. But once this game hits, it's going to be a free-to-play game, and obviously, if you want the better, I mean, seriously, I mean, you can customize your guy with like a flying pet around him, and he's got like a gas mask on. So I'm sure this is where their cash store will come into play, where they're like, okay, now we can kind of have people pay real money to buy these outfits or buy these pets or buy these guns, which is okay, whatever. It's like you're still getting to play for free anyway. My only question is, am I going to be up against somebody who spent $50 on a epic weapon that kills me in
yeah.
2 hits or not?
Yeah, that's
So
always the big question. It's like, is more money going to make me more awesome at the game?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, is it gonna make me better? Is it just for show? So I don't know. That is a game that I really wanted to talk about, just a little bit, just to kind of see if anybody had heard about it, because I'd never even heard the game before. And as far as I know, the people in the chat of the stream I was watching had never heard of it before they logged on. So it's pretty cool. As a matter of fact, I think they said they only had like 80,000 people that had tested it. That's not very many
Wow.
people. So
Yeah, really, that's pretty darn small. I mean, that means it's really an indie game. I mean, there's obviously there's not a whole lot of fanfare for it, especially if most people in the cast hadn't even heard of it.
exactly, yeah. And so it's going to be cool. Watch for that game, and also watch my channel for the for the footage of that once I'm able to record some on Tuesday. So, but what have you been playing other than COD?
Oh, well, actually, I didn't even I didn't do a whole lot of COD this week. I actually went back to, in fact, I don't think I've played COD since the last cast.
Oh wow.
So, I believe it or not, I tried some new Rock Band songs that came out. There was some actually really good stuff this week. There was Down Under from Men at Work, back from the old 80s.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that song. I don't
Yeah.
care when you were born. Everybody knows that song.
Yeah.
It's a good one. And there's actually a band, by the way, that was on Rock Band that got released this week, at least for the PS3. It's been out for quite a while. If you guys don't know this band, and you do like metal or at least some pretty heavy music, there is a band that's kind of an all-star band made up of extremely talented virtuosos of their individual instruments. It's called Solution 45. Solution 45, and that is a heavy, heavy metal band. They have two extremely good songs that have been released finally on the PS3 side of things through the Rock Band Network.
Right.
And the singer he sings in this crazy growl, like going crazy, like and then he goes into this like ridiculously clean, gorgeous vocals after that. The same singer, it's unbelievable.
It makes you wonder how he can do that. Like, how does he not throw his voice out doing the growling?
It's unbelievable. I don't know how any of these guys, it's definitely huge in Europe. A lot of these death metal style bands, they kind of originate over in the Norwegian area and Scandinavian countries, and it also a lot from Germany and there's just a really huge metal scene over there. So most of my music comes from that area, and I was so unbelievably excited to see a really fairly obscure band like that show up on the Rock Band Network. And apparently if it sells well, it's gonna come out a little bit further. But I have another game that I tried a little bit of, not a whole lot, but I've been doing a couple of Connect games. And, I didn't really get to talk about this a whole lot, but I've had this for a little while. I did the Fruit Ninja on Connect,
Yeah.
and it came with that Western. It is this game is so bizarre.
Is it the Gunslinger game?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the Gunstringer. Gunstringer, is
Stringer,
actually
that's
the name
it.
of it, because it's a marionette. It's a marionette puppet that you control with your hands, kind of miming a marionette in the air in front of the TV.
Right.
And to jump, you take your hand like you're working a marionette. Of course, you guys can't see me, and I'm over here, acting like a marionette. But anyway, whenever you, work the little puppet, you to make them jump, you throw your hand up in the air like you would actually pull the puppet up in the air, and then you to go forward. I think you just I forget what you do I think you just hold your hand forward or whatever, and he goes forward, and then you shoot. He comes to these stopping points, and then you shoot like like your fingers are a gun or whatever. It's very, very fun, very cool on the Kinect. And if you bought Gunstringer, they give you a free code for Fruit Ninja. And it's funny, everybody knows about Fruit Ninja. I mean, Fruit Ninja's been around, on all the mobile platforms and everything, but I have to say it is 10 times better on the Kinect. There is nothing better than doing ninja moves in front of your television.
Yeah, and not only that, when you back out of the frame, you puff like a puff of smoke,
Exactly.
disappear. Yeah. It is a pretty cool experience. I got to play with that a little bit.
Well, go ahead.
No, I'd never played it on the iPhone, so I didn't even.
So the whole new experience.
Yeah, it was a whole new thing. Like, I'm not one of those. I don't buy games like that on the iPhone, so. Because I'm a real gamer. Just kidding.
Sadness.
I do want to say something. If you post a spoiler about the ending of a video game in the chat, I will time you out. Just wanted to say that. That being said, I've heard a lot of. How much crap have you been hearing about the ending of Mass Effect 3?
Oh my God! It's like I can't read any gaming news except for that.
I know.
It's like. There's been so much unbelievable controversy over that. And, I know a little bit about it, not enough to really talk intelligently here, especially without spoiling it. But my God, I don't think I've ever seen the gaming community up in arms about a game like this. Really.
I know.
Ever.
And the thing is again, I don't know the ending.
Me neither.
I don't know what it is. I don't have any idea what exactly. But people have been bringing in, and I saw this in the chat. I had to bring it up. People are bringing up the indoctrination theory to try and explain the ending of the game. Now that's got to tell you something. It's like, wait, you're bringing this theory in to try and explain the what? It's like I don't understand. So, but I'm going to be playing the game probably. I made a decision the other day after me and a fan, I guess, Icy had a chat about it, and he showed me some stuff on it, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And as a matter of fact, here's a little thing he showed me that I couldn't believe that it really doesn't spoil anything, but one of the characters in the Mass Effect world is always wearing a mask. Her name is Tali. She always wears a mask.
Oh yeah, I know about this one.
And in the game, she takes the mask off, and it shows her face.
Yep.
And they basically photoshopped a Google image of some Hispanic girl.
Yep, it was just it was the whole thing was it was a stock photo that is offered by one of the major stock websites, and they actually show this as one of their one of the default stock images for a single female in an image. When you search for just female photo or whatever,
right.
This is one of their default images that comes up. It's extremely famous, especially to graphic designers. So of course, as gamers go, a lot of us out there, a lot of gamers, do computer-related careers. So you've got tons of graphic designers, obviously, playing, games. And I mean, myself included, I do, some graphic design for a living and so forth. So here you are, somebody at BioWare was so freaking lazy.
Yep.
That they needed a photo.
Exactly.
They needed a photo to identify a character who has never been seen in the franchise before. And what do? They literally pull the first photo they find on one of the biggest stock photo sites in the world, and they
Yeah.
just toss it in there.
Instead of saying, hey, sweetie, girlfriend, wife, hey, would you like to be in this game? I'm just going to take a quick picture and Photoshop the hell out of it, and you're going to be one of the main characters in Mass Effect. No, they had to go, and they didn't even take the mountain out of the background. It's just
I know.
the mountain's there. It's like
Well, and not even that, apparently, and again, you guys correct me in the chat if I'm wrong here, but apparently in the game, she's supposed to be some kind of alien, some kind of otherworldly being who has, worn this outfit or whatever because either she can't exist in the atmosphere or
Right.
whatever. And they come across this photo, you're supposed to come across this photo and it's supposed to be a photo of her. And I mean, this is ludicrous. It's just, oh yeah, just a human that looks normal with perfect hair and everything,
well,
and you're just like, what?
It's like we changed the eyes and the nose and the ear a little bit, but everything else. I mean, like, okay, here's the one thing I was that bugged me the most is like her ears are like low, like the lobe comes way lower down on her jawline. But in the
Right.
original picture, all they did was stretch that lady's down. Like hers
Exactly.
hers actually did the same thing. They just kind of stretched it down a bit. I was like, what the hell, man? I was like,
Terrible.
You didn't even try.
I know.
So I don't know. Maybe there was the only thing I could think was maybe there was some inside joke at BioWare about that picture. Maybe somebody made it up as a joke and they're like, dude, we should use this picture. We used to use this in college all the time and all that crap. That'd be hilarious as like kind of like a memory, that we use the same picture. And so they did, and it just ended up making it look like they were lazy. Or if they just honestly couldn't have cared less, and they're like, I don't care. It's like, hey, I got an idea. This will bring up a lot of controversy. Let's just do this.
It really is unbelievable. I mean, honestly, I just don't know if they even thought about it that much. I'm telling you, what I think is some guy came to work. That they've literally got hundreds of people working on these projects. Sometimes thousands, and I swear to you, some guy was probably tasked with that as part of his day, and they said, hey, we need to identify Tali as this character now. We need you to get a really neat photoshopped individual, just your choice. Go and get something. It needs to be very interesting. And at the last minute, the guy did something, threw it out there. It made it through QC, and then that was the end of it. And maybe the people QCing it, they don't have graphic design in their background. They don't know, whatever. I just feel like somebody really just slept walk through that task,
Slept walked right through it. No, I totally agree. And not only that, like, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what. I am going to play through that game, hands down. I will be playing through it. And
now you did the other two, right?
Yeah, I have. It's just not that. It's not one of those franchises like I have to. It is one of the best stories I've ever seen in gaming.
Right.
But it's just not one of those games that like I just pick up, and just have to have day one. Like this, it was the same way with Mass Effect 2. Like I didn't even buy it day one, But then there's others like Far Cry 3. Like I have to have it.
Right.
I don't know. I'm weird sometimes in some people's eyes for that, but still, that's just the way I am. But I'll get around to it, and I'll tell you my thoughts. Like I don't know, the craziest worst ending in my opinion, not really worst, but the weirdest ending for sure was probably L.A. Noire for me. Like that game, and that's the thing you got to look at. That ending to me was like, holy crap, they did that? That sucks. But it wasn't a big deal. So I'm really curious to see why everybody in the world is all together on this, up in arms about this ending. So,
I'm trying to think of the ending. A friend of mine and I were talking about the Mass Effect ending at work the other day, and he actually mentioned to me that he thought one of the worst endings ever was the Knights of the Old Republic.
See, I never played that, so
I didn't play those either. The ending of Knights of the Old Republic, it was either 1 or 2. He said you played and played and played and had tens of hours, 20, 30, I don't know how many hours. He had close to 100 hours in this game. And he did all this stuff, and you get to the end, and you think it's this mega crazy, like insane ending, and then literally, apparently, it was like 15 seconds, and then it was over.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally understand those kinds of endings. They really make me mad, and I don't know. L.A. Noire did that, and I'm actually going to do something right quick that because somebody brought it up in the chat. They said, "Hey, L.A. Noire has been out for a while. Is there any way that you can maybe go over the ending a little bit?" So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put I'm going to put a picture of Hand Banana on the screen. Okay. When Ham Banana goes off the screen, you can unmute the chat or whatever, So I'm going to be talking about the ending of LA Noire. Have you seen the ending? You've beaten it, right?
Yeah, I beat it.
Okay. So as long as Ham Banana's on the screen and you don't want to know the ending of LA Noire, you haven't experienced it, you don't want it to be spoiled, just stay away. And then when Ham Banana comes off, or when you've skipped ahead long enough for Ham Banana not to be on the screen, you're good to go. So anyway, the ending to LA Noire and why it made me so angry was basically because let's see, hold on. So what happens is in the last couple chapters, the main character actually gets pretty much fired. Cole gets fired from the Force.
Cole Phelps.
Cole Phelps, and basically he is kind of out of commission. At this point, the game it switches from, you've been playing for hours as Cole, you've really gotten to know his character, you've really become really involved with him and his life. Now it goes to an insurance guy, an insurance investigator, I guess, and basically what he's tasked with doing is going out and I don't know what the word is, but he basically looks at a property or something and he tells what it's worth to insure it.
Right.
And anyway, you start playing as him for the next however long. And I'm like, okay, so now instead of playing and learning all about Cole Phelps, who I want to know about, now I'm playing as this insurance guy. And yeah, it adds this kind of a corner to the story that's kind of like, oh, what's going on with Phelps? What's happening to Phelps? And then at the very end, you play as Phelps again, and then they just kill him. He just dies.
Exactly.
He just dies in water. He's just like, all right, no, everybody else go, boom, and he dies, and then it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, and it wasn't even, it was so stupid because it was just rain, right? It was just like a heavy rain and floodwaters.
Well, it was
killed him.
It was underneath. Something happened underneath in
it was
the
in the sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something just they could tell the water was coming, so he's helping everybody else up, and he's like, oh, you guys get up, and then he's like, I'm staying behind, and then boom, it just takes him out, and I'm like, what?
Because there was that Kelso character, right?
Right, Kelso was,
and Elsa,
right, and the woman was down there, yeah. And there was one of the guys, all these guys knew each other from the military, pretty much. They were all intertwined, and there was a crazy guy down there, and whatever. It's been a long time since I played it, but that just really made me mad. And then the ending was his funeral, because I was like, wait a minute, maybe he didn't die. But then the end is his funeral, and I'm like, well, way to set me up for DLC, because here's the way I feel about it. If it's not continuing the story, I don't want to play it. Okay?
Right,
so
right.
If they're like, okay, yeah, well, we're adding 5 cases that happened in between arson and homicide. I'm like, I don't care. I know he dies, so I don't want to play as him anymore. It's like, I know he dies. I know how he dies. I know how the game ends. I don't care. You can't make me more excited you can't make me as excited as I was to see the ending ever again, unless somehow he comes back to life. So anyway, that was probably the worst ending in my opinion, and honestly, that ending alone, them taking me out of the role of Cole Phelps, them putting me in as Kelso, and then them killing off after I had been detached from Cole for so long, them just killing him off, it killed it for me. It really did, and I feel really crappy about docking the game points for it, but whatever.
It didn't really make a whole lot of sense. I think they were going for some kind of weird Hitchcock kind of ending, like this Alfred Hitchcock ending, or this weird M. Night Shyamalan ending, but it just didn't work. I mean, I think that they wanted you to feel like you were attached to this character, and I guess they wanted you to be like, no, but it was more like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It was like, wait a minute. Maybe if I had played as Phelps all the way up to that point, and I was still as connected as I was, I might have been like, oh, he risked his life, but I wasn't. I was just like, wait, what the hell? And it wasn't even anticlimactic, or it was very anticlimactic. It was kind of like you knew it was going to happen. He's just kind of like sacrificing himself, and you knew that water was going to hit him right
Yep.
as he was done with the last person. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
he's going to die. He's going to die. It doesn't even matter. It would have been just a better feat if, like, they showed the water rush in, and then they pan up, and there he is sitting on the side. He barely made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And, like,
that would have been like the right kind of ending. That would have been
Exactly.
it just. I don't know. I'm with you, man. I really thought L.A. Noire was pretty bad. I'm sitting here while we're talking about it. I'm sitting here trying to think of other game endings where I was just like, God, that was lame.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of some of the games. Um, God, the Uncharted 2 ending wasn't bad. The Uncharted 1 ending was okay.
Well, the ending gameplay of Uncharted 3 actually disappointed me quite a bit.
Now, I still haven't finished freaking Uncharted
Yeah.
3. I know that's lame, but,
Well,
I need to play that. But honestly, it didn't grip me like the other two. I've been really kind of not as engrossed in 3 as the other ones.
yeah. Well, okay. Ham Banana's off screen, by the way. We're done talking about L.A. Noire,
Yeah,
but yeah,
L.A. Noire is over.
the ending gameplay of Uncharted 3 was basically. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending of Uncharted 3, but in every other Uncharted, it's been really like, oh wow, this crazy crap's happening, and Uncharted 3 really dropped the ball, and really hurt the ending gameplay. Because I mean, normally you're climbing this mountain of up to the climax of the game, and then it's just like, oh, that was awesome. But this game takes you to the top of the mountain, and then it starts to drop you down before the ending, which is not what you should do. Not what you should do. So, in any case, that's probably one of the endings that really upset me. Now, let me ask you this: have you seen the reviews for the newest Resident Evil?
Yes, Raccoon City. Oh my God.
So, okay, I got to tell a story. My friend Seth, when I met Seth, actually when we were reunited in high school, first thing he said to me when we got into class, like he just turned to me, like he didn't remember who I was. He looked over at me and he's like, "You getting Resident Evil 4?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that comes out in a couple months, doesn't it?" He's like, "Just pre-ordered it yesterday," and that's all he talked about. Okay, and this guy has been I mean, every time I talk to him, he says something about Resident Evil. And being a fan of Resident Evil, he pre-ordered this game day one. He like sold it this week for $50 on eBay. He sold it day one too.
Wow.
He put it in. Like, he calls me. Okay, I'm sitting here watching Netflix. It's like 5 in the morning, and I get a call, and I pick it up. I'm like, "Hello," and he's like, "This is bullshit." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, This isn't a damn Resident Evil game. This is like a shitty Uncharted game. It's like, he's just going on and on about it. I'm like, "Calm down. Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, man, it's bullshit." So I'm like, "Okay, don't worry. I'm going to come over. I'll play it. I'll see what's, it's almost like I'm troubleshooting it for him." So I get over there, and within the first 30 minutes, I'm not lying, within the first 30 minutes, I have a game-breaking glitch that causes me to restart the whole game.
Oh my God.
So in the first 30 minutes of the game, you have a boss fight. You have 5 people on your team. Okay, you have 3 of your squad mates, and Hunk, which is he's one of the like main Resident Evil guys. He's always wearing a gas mask and all that crap. Anyway, so there's 5 of you, and the game plays a lot like an over-the-shoulder third-person shooter, a lot like Uncharted, or kind of like Uncharted, kind of like Gears of War and stuff like that, kind of Uncharted Gears
Right.
mix. But they actually do something pretty cool, which is they have like a snap. It's kind of cool and it's kind of hindering at the same time. You snap to cover as soon as you walk up to it. So instead of having to like hit a button when you're in the middle of a fight, you can keep shooting, and then it auto snaps to cover, and then you can just kind of keep firing and not have to lose your concentration. And we play for a while through this game, and we get to the first boss fight, which again is about half an hour in. And so there's like this wall of smoke, like steam being shot down. The boss is on the other side of the steam, okay? Now, you've got your 4 other people, including yourself. You're supposed to go through this door to the right and then come around and fight him on the other side. And I noticed that the door's not opening. And I'm like, "Seth, what am I doing wrong?" He's like, "Dude, you got to get all your men in there." I was like, "They are all in here." He's like, "No, they're not." He's like, "One of them's out there." So I walk around, and sure enough, there's a guy out there shooting on the other side of the smoke. He somehow got on the other side. I don't know how. I was like, what the hell? So I'm like, I walk back inside, and I start counting. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4. I was like, they're all here. I was like, who is that out there? So I go back out there, and the game has cloned Hunk and put him on the other side of the Steam,
Oh,
as
jeez.
well as in the room. But because the game notices that one of the allies is standing outside the door, it's not going to let him in. So I'm like, oh my god, the door won't open, the scene won't trigger unless he will come over here, but he can't get through the Steam because the game put him there. So I reload the level, I play all the way back up to that point, and sure enough, there he is again on the other side. So there was nothing that could be done about it. And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
wow. But I mean, other than the glitching and all the crappy gameplay elements, evidently this game has one of the poorest storytellings ever. And it's so boring and so repetitive and really doesn't do justice to the story that the fans and even the creators had built this event to be, where these guys come in to cover up the outbreak of the Umbrella virus, where they come in to basically just cover it up.
I mean, isn't that the premise of every freaking Resident Evil?
No. So they talk about it. They talk about going in to cover it up. Umbrella, you're playing as pretty much the bad guys in this game. You're playing as like the bad men. Most Resident Evils, like Resident Evil 4, was about saving the president's daughter. She was kidnapped and taken to this. I guess it's a fictitious place where these it's kind of like a Latin place, and all of these people had been turned into something else. It wasn't even a zombie outbreak. It was a parasite called Los Plagas, which had grown into their spinal cord and started controlling these people. So it's basically like an intelligent zombie. And then, Resident Evil 1 and 2 were about the outbreak that these guys in the newest Raccoon City game, it's about the outbreak that they're trying to cover up. So it was supposed to be this huge event. You hear about it in many Resident Evils, and you hear about you hear about the cover up. It's like a big deal. Well, when you go to make a game about this huge event, you better make it damn good, and they didn't. So that's pretty much what it amounts to. It was a piece of junk at the launch. So and yet another game that came out that highly disappointed globally was Ninja Gaiden 3.
Oh yeah. I remember hearing about that one.
So
I didn't play it.
Yeah, I didn't play it either, but I have played the first two. And basically what happened was they just killed it. Like they made it, they took this cinematic approach and just killed all the challenge, which is all the Ninja Gaiden is. And it's the first IGN review. Yeah, anytime a game site negatively reviews a game, there are always going to be tons of dislikes on it. But this was the first time the top comments were like defending IGN. It was like IGN or GameSpot or whoever reviewed it. It was the first time I ever saw. Like the one guy posted a comment. He posted all the sites that reviewed the game and all of their scores were like 4s and 3s. And then he said, "It sucks. Get over it."
Holy cow!
So yeah, man, we had quite a few games come out on the same day that just were supposed to be AAA titles that just destroyed themselves. I love that. I actually do enjoy that IGN didn't give these games like an 8 point or an 8 or a 9, because that would have just been like, wow, really, you just sold out because of the name of the game. But they didn't, so it's all good, and I'm happy they did that. In any case, do you have any gaming news that you've been reading about or want to discuss?
Well, this whole time we've been talking about the endings of games. I'm just sitting here trying to think of like game endings that really,
yeah,
just I mean, it's it's probably just as hard to say what games were amazing versus like what games had amazing endings versus what games had crappy endings. God, I'm just trying to. The Call of Duty games, it's even hard to even mention those because the story for most of those is so weak.
Yeah.
I mean they're just kind of they're popcorn stories. I'm trying to think of some of the older games like BioShock was a little questionable at times. Some people really love that ending. I always just thought it was a little weird.
The weakest ending, I have to say, of any game, even though I hate to say it, it was pretty weak and disappointing. I went through all of this trouble. I mean, I triumphed over level after level after level of just platforming spectacular epicness. And all I got was, you found the princess, play it again. And that was Mario. Had to be the most disappointing ending of any game I've ever played. It's like I spent years, practicing and cultivating the strategies needed to get past Bowser at the very end, and then it's just like, play it again on harder difficulty. It's like, okay. But honestly, I honestly can't think of many bad endings right now, because I honestly don't play a lot of games that do have bad endings, other than the few that I've brought up.
I guess there's just so many that are so predictable, that, I mean, the ending is almost just an exercise in just beating the game. It's not like you get this satisfaction of like, wow, what an amazing story, It's so rare to actually say what a great ending,
Except with Metal Gear Solid 4.
Is that the Guns of the Patriots one?
Yes, that was the most epic ending ever. I mean, like, so imagine a game gives you an awesome ending, and then it starts showing the credits, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, we're gonna blow your mind, and then it just gives you a better ending. That's what Metal Gear Solid 4 did. It basically was like, we answered all your questions, now we're gonna answer all the questions you forgot about, and we're gonna make it epic. That was probably the best. I'm gonna have to say, the best ending to a game franchise. Not only just a game, but they ended the whole game franchise right there. So that was the best for sure. I'm looking at, I'm sitting here looking at my games, and I'm trying to like pinpoint a bad ending, and I see Bayonetta, epic ending. Like Halo Reach. Halo Reach might have been one of the weaker endings.
What about Halo 2? Wasn't there a big there was a big deal about that one?
Yeah, because it wasn't even just the ending. It was just like kind of like the game basically just said, all right, well, we'll see you next time.
Right, because there wasn't really an ending. I mean, it was almost like it was like the end of like an episode of a TV show or something. Like, it was like, see you next week, and it was just like, wait a minute.
Exactly. So basically you know how you have this kind of like a gauge in your mind when you're playing a game, when you're getting to the end, when you're getting close. You're like, okay, I'm getting close. I know I'm about to beat the game. This game, it didn't have that. Like, you felt like you had probably a couple more hours to go, and then it was like, beep, done. And I was like, honestly, that's what I did. I was kind of like, had this half-ass smirk. The screen went black, and I was like, huh, wait a minute. And then it goes, I was like, no way, dude, that is so stupid. I was like a junior in high school when that game came out, and I was like playing it. I'd skipped school and played it and beat it all in one day, and I was just sitting there like, it was like 4 in the afternoon, I was like, should have gone to school.
Damn.
I was pretty upset, and then I get to school and nobody else had beaten it because they all went to school responsibly, and I was like, guys, I have some bad news about this. It's not really an ending.
Jeez.
So yeah, it was pretty bad. Now I'm glad you brought that one up. That was a good one to bring up. That had a really crappy ending. And I guess if you really think about it, Heavy Rain could have a really crappy ending.
Or... that is still on my freaking list. I've only played about 2 hours into that game, and I walked away from it, and I never went back to it.
Well,
I don't know what is wrong with me. I really want to play that game. That's a game that's like kind of up my alley, and I actually have it sitting there, and I started, and I was like, this is amazing. And then something happened, and I never went back to it.
Man, I only beat it once, and I beat it on, I beat it with, damn it. This is a game you can't spoil. I beat it. I'll just say I got one of the good endings. So basically, like, there's like 20, 30 endings. I don't know. There's like a ton of endings. Most of them are bad. Most of them are like meant to be bad. Like, you just really messed up throughout the whole experience and something happens. But there's one, and this is why I like Heavy Rain so much. There is one ending that you can only get once you are knowledgeable, once you know something about the end of the game, and it is so epic that, like, when you go through the game again, because you know this thing, the whole game you start seeing things that you would never have seen unless you knew it.
It's kind of like Sixth Sense, the movie, where suddenly if you watch it again, it's like everything is so obvious.
Right. So imagine like a movie like I don't know, just a crime thriller. So imagine that, okay? Now imagine watching the film, okay? And you're like, oh man, oh cool, they caught him at the end, blah blah blah. Now imagine going back in time and letting the killer watch what mistakes he made and change them. That's what you're doing. You're letting the killer know what mistakes he made, and you're helping him finish them. So by doing that, you're making the ending in his favor, and you get to see one epic ending, and you get a trophy for it called the Perfect Crime. It's epic. I'm serious. You have to play it just to know. I mean, and it throws you for a loop. I did not see this ending. I did not see what happened at the end. Like I honestly could not. And anybody who says they did are retarded. I'm sorry. They're lying. I didn't mean to say retarded. I really shouldn't have said retarded. But anyway, they're lying. It just sounded really bad because, like, you know, anyway, but you're wrong, okay? Like, I had friends like, oh, yeah, I guessed it. It's like, no, you didn't. You know, it's like, I guessed the ending of, like, Saw. You didn't guess the ending of this game because there was absolutely no way you could have. And once it happens, you're like, holy crap, this is one of the best killers in any mystery ever. Like, you know, you've got, I'm trying to think of some of the best killers, like,
Well, Saw was a really good one.
Exactly.
You know, that movie is excellent. The ending on that, I mean, it shocked the hell out of me when I saw that the first time.
Oh, me too. But the thing is like, it's one of those things that like 5 minutes before it happens, I figured it out. Like it wasn't like it wasn't because it was obvious. I just made a guess. You know, I was like, you know, I was like, that would be epic if this was the ending. If that, oh, and then sure enough, like right as I say it in my head, like he just starts, I was like, ow! You know, I went crazy when I saw that. I mean, I really flipped out. But I won't ruin that. Do I need to put Hand Banana back up?
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, there's some epic. But of all the awesome killers in these movies and franchises, this one had to be the best. I'm telling you, you need to play through this.
Well, it's certainly on my list. I mean, like I said, I actually really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people, you know, acted like it wasn't like that much of a game because, you know, there wasn't, you know, you weren't walking around shooting people for, you know, 2 hours or whatever. You know, to me, it looked really like a progressive game. It was really different. And I remember reading about it before it ever came out, and I was like, man, this looks amazing. And then I finally, like a friend of mine loaned it to me, and that's the one I still have. I still have his copy. I've had it for over a year, and it's like, what the heck? You know, it's like, I was really excited about this, and then I sat down and started playing it. In fact, I played the demo 3 times before I got my hands on the game.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was pumped about it. You know, I thought this is awesome. This is what they call an interactive movie. You know, this is where you are in a story, and you are helping tell the story. And it was one of those things I just never, you know, I think it was during that damn Modern Warfare 2 era when I was like so like, you know, tunnel vision focused on Modern Warfare multiplayer at the time that I brushed away like so many games during that year.
Yeah.
And I think Heavy Rain was one of them. And I really need to go back and catch up on some of those.
No, I get you, man. It was, if I wasn't, there were a few parts where it kind of got a little bit boring or whatever. But, you know, there was a few things that kept me going on. One was I knew I got to see boobs at some point. And not to mention the chick who modeled this girl was good looking. And I'm not lying here. If you see the real girl, they actually like dumbed down to the size of her chest. Anyway, that was one of the
now everybody's rushing to go put their Heavy Rain disc.
I need to play. But yeah, so that was one thing. But you know, the other was I wanted to know. I knew that there was going to be an awesome turn. I just didn't know exactly where it was going to be. And then when it hits you, it's awesome. Then once you beat the game, you want to get this trophy. You want to see what happens if he does everything correctly. If you do everything correctly in this game, it's just awesome. The gameplay portion comes in after you've beaten the game, trying to get all the extra endings. And the hardest part for me is actually purposefully messing up some of the scenes, if you know what I mean, because you have to in order, because I mean none of the challenges are really that hard, so you really kind of do have to purposefully mess it up or just suck really bad. And that's always hard for me to do. It's like, no, I want to do it, but no, I just gotta wait. In any case, yeah, it's awesome. I do have some gaming, some news unrelated to gaming. You see, when I recommend something to Anakin, guys, he never does it. But when Anakin recommends something to me, I always do it because Anakin recommended it. So last week, somebody
Here we go.
last week somebody recommended that I watch a show that I had heard had started to go downhill, that you guys were raving about, and that it was on Netflix, and that was The Walking Dead. And my God, is that show epic!
Ah, finally somebody
Yes.
else has jumped on board.
I watched the first season, and I can't tell you how upset Brittany and I were that there was only 6 episodes in the season.
It's sick, isn't it?
Man.
It's just like, oh my God, where is the rest?
I was clicking X, like, where's the next one? And then, like, I turned to Brittany, and Brittany's, like, worried looking. She's like, no, oh God, no, please. I was like, there's no more.
That is awesome.
We have to wait or pirate them. I don't know what to do. But yeah, I'll tell you what, that series, if you haven't seen it, I am seconding Anakin and whoever else in the chat was saying, watch that. I'm seconding it. Or thirding it, whatever it is. Go watch that show. It is, I mean, it honestly, it's one of those shows that you really quickly are pulled in to care about the cast, and it's in a zombie environment, and they make it so real. The only gripe I had, was that in the beginning, when the black father, he describes, now in this universe, were there never zombie stories? Were there never like COD zombies?
That's the thing, is that's what you have to basically go with. You have to go with the idea that, this is a universe that is devoid completely of any knowledge of the idea of zombies, and that's the thing, is this whole idea is like unheard of. So that's the reason in the show you never hear the word zombie. Nobody ever says it.
They say walker or geek or something along those lines. Yeah, and yeah, I totally, I don't know, I got that in my mind. It really bugs me when he's like, yeah, they they aren't very fast, but you got to shoot them in the head. You got to make sure. And I'm like, duh.
It's like, haven't you ever heard of zombies?
It's like, dude, you got. I mean, it's kind of like the same way, like when you're in a movie. It's okay, so like the movie Superbad, or no, not Superbad. What was that? What was that zombie movie that had Woody Harrelson and
Zombieland.
Zombieland. Okay, so I mean, it just happens to be that that's a zombie movie. That's not what I'm talking about. So if you look at a movie called Kingpin, in that movie, Woody Harrelson is he's a bowler, and his nemesis is Bill Murray. Okay, but in Zombieland, Woody Harrelson is a character known as Texas or Kentucky or whatever, one of those southern states. I don't remember his name. He's not Woody Harrelson, but they actually meet Bill Murray. So where is Woody Harrelson? Who is he in this universe? Like, if they were to pop in the movie Kingpin, would he be watching himself on the TV, or would it be a completely different actor? So you know what I mean? Tallahassee, sorry. So that's what I always think about that. It's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
you guys should watch Kingpin. It's like, I don't know, but in any case, it's just one of those like things you got to take with a grain of salt. Other than that, I had no problem. Other than one thing, and maybe you can tell me if this peeks its head out in season 2. But
I can tell you everything about this show.
Okay. So I haven't started season 2 yet, which I'm excited to do. Even after I literally read everything about like how this show started to go downhill. Not necessarily with the.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff behind the scenes that if you really want to get into it, the whole thing with Frank Darabont,
right, with
is
him getting
huge
fired.
deal, and they fired him right after his Comic-Con promotional and all that. It's tons. Yeah, it's crazy.
I read all that, and I was like, wait. So first of all, do they explain how he gets? Do they explain anything about him, or is he just not there anymore?
Who's that?
Frank.
Which character? Who?
Was he just a writer?
Oh no, Frank. Okay,
Frank,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. No, Frank was the one
the
that
old
created this show.
Oh, okay.
Wait, Frank Darabont. You're talking about the producer.
Right, but wasn't wait? Okay, I get. Was he was just the producer?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
He was the writer, director, and producer.
Okay, I was confused. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I thought you meant he was in the cast.
No. Yeah, no. Sorry, no. Frank Darabont was Frank Darabont has done. He's a huge, big time movie guy. He's made tons of movies, but this was the very first time he ever got involved in television, and he wanted to make this, and he'd been shopping this around for a while, and he wanted to have a huge budget. He wanted to do this and make a really dramatic. Zombie apocalypse TV series and base it on this comic book, that he had come across. And AMC finally got involved and said, okay, we're willing to take a shot on it because he made this pilot, that 2-hour pilot. The first episode is unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Anybody, I don't even care if you like the zombie genre. If you sit down and just watch that first 2-hour episode, you don't ever have to watch another episode of the show ever again if you don't want to.
Yeah.
That 2 hours could have gone to the theater, and I would have paid full price and walked out a happy man. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. It's just, I mean, you're exactly right. Like this could have been its own thing, and like they could have ended it just a little bit different, and you would never have had to see another one.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was freaking awesome. So yeah, he evidently like he goes to Comic-Con, he promotes the crap out of this show, and then right after Comic-Con they fire him, and I guess their reasoning was because he was like,
well, he was being very difficult because they wanted to cut his budget. The idea is that Mad Men ate up all of AMC's budget. That's what it boiled down to, and they said, sorry, you're going to have to make 13 episodes for season 2 for less money than you made 6 for the first season. That was the whole big deal.
And they wanted half of the shots for each episode to be outside, half inside.
Yep, because they wanted to save money.
Right, but they're never inside, so that's the big problem. And so yeah, it was a big deal. He ends up getting fired. So like the main guy is gone. Like the main guy who made that show so far is gone. And then you're just like, wait a minute. And then they fire. From what I hear, they fire all the writers.
Yep, all the writers.
And they bring in freelancers to write the rest of the show. So all the original writers. It's basically like they did an amazing job. They pulled in the highest grossing demographic or the highest grossing ratings for a TV show. I think it was
a cable TV show.
Yeah. And they brought it in, and then it's just like, hey, good job, guys, you're out. I'm gonna do this on my own. You're out.
Yep.
So it was a big piece of bull crap. So I haven't seen season 2, so I can't even comment on it. But
the good news about season 2 is that there's 13 episodes instead of 6. Right. And let me tell you, almost every episode brings something to the table.
Okay, so let me ask you this: can you tell that the writers are gone?
That's the interesting thing about this show. Okay, let me tell you, I was really getting pissed off at season 2 because season 1 even had a couple of weak episodes. There was a couple episodes where I was like, they really need to kind of step things up. This is kind of turning into a drama, a human drama with no zombies, especially when they were out there in the middle of the woods with the stupid Winnebago and there's not much going on and they're just arguing among themselves. I was like, man, we need to move forward here. Give me some zombies, give me something, But anyway, they picked things back up and the first season went pretty well, okay? The beginning of season 2, you can tell something ain't right. The show is not what it was in season 1. There's something right, and you can tell the writing's a little weird. But let me tell you, me and my wife both were like, I don't know. This show's kind of going downhill. By about the 5th episode, almost halfway into season 2, we're just kind of like, man, I don't know. And then there was like 1 or 2 episodes kind of back to back somewhere in the middle of the season. It just reawakened our interest. They did something, and it's almost like the new writers had to get their footing, and then it was like all of a sudden it took off. Took off again.
Yeah.
So the thing is the rest of the season, I was glued. I was glued to the episodes. I was like, okay, what's going to happen? And man, let me tell you, by the end of the second season, this isn't really a spoiler here, but by the end of the second season, you're not seeing the same characters. The many people do not make it.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
It's a different cast by the time season 2 wraps up, and the end of season 2 just finished last Sunday. Right. And man, you talk about like a cliffhanger. holy crap, there's a ton of ton of crap that goes down in the last episode.
I can't wait, man. I'm so excited. I am so excited to see this.
And
Uh,
there's a Walking Dead video game, by the way. Did you know about this?
no, wait. Hold on. Is this like those Lost video games?
It's somewhat cheeseball. They're actually making, believe it or not, this is so sad. I really think they could do something awesome, but they made a Walking Dead Facebook game.
Oh my god.
And you literally like walk around in this isometric this isometric kind of view, very similar to Farmville or whatever, but the graphics are a lot better, and you literally like walk around as like Rick and you kill zombies and shit.
Oh my
It's
god.
like it's ridiculous. It's
That
absolutely
isn't that, let me get back to what I wanted to ask you. Something happened and it wasn't answered for me. And I was
okay.
pretty upset about it. And I want to know if it's answered in season 2, okay? So in the first episode, in the second episode of the Walking Dead, there's a scene where they get to the roof and there's this hothead, like, look kind of like a biker guy.
Merle.
Merle, exactly. And Merle starts being an asshole, racist. And
Yep.
so Rick basically handcuffs him to a pole.
Yep.
And so Rick, long story short, they end up having to leave because the zombies are coming and they have like one chance to get out of the city. And the black guy who he was being racist toward is going to unlock him because he just can't do it. He can't leave him there. And he ends up dropping the key in the drain. And he's like, crap. He's like, I got to go. So he runs out. He chains the door and he runs out. And so the next episode, it starts with Merle on the roof. And, he's praying to God, please just let me out of here. And then he realizes the zombies are at the door. And he's like, oh, crap. So you basically see him basically trying to find a way in his head to get out of here. And he realizes he's not going to pull the pole off. He can't get the handcuffs off. And he looks over and he sees a saw on the ground. Fades to black. So on their way back to the camp, they basically, they're like, okay, well, Merle's brother, was his name Daryl? Or something?
Yeah, Daryl.
So they're like, Daryl's not going to be too happy about this. So then we meet Daryl, who is just as hot-headed, but he's got a crossbow. And and Daryl is like, oh, hell no, we ain't putting up with this shit. We're going to go find my bro. And Rick and the black guy and Gil, the Asian guy, I believe that's his name, they decide to go get him. And when they get back, he's not there. And they park the truck, and then they basically walk away into the city. When they get back to the truck, evidently Merle took the truck. Where did he go? Where did Merle go?
Good question.
No, they never answer the question. They never. They're like, Merle must have took the truck. And then what happens is they start racing back to the camp like Merle's going to be there. So you're like immediately, okay, Merle's going to show up. Merle's going to be pissed. Merle's going to probably take Rick's girl hostage. Sarah Tancredi from Prison Break. You're going to take her hostage. There is no sign of Merle ever. Merle's just out.
Let me tell you, all I'll tell you on this, okay, is that the actor makes a very minor appearance in season 2, and he supposedly has been commissioned already for season 3 to appear. Now, to star, nobody says anything about starring in it, but in season 2, he's there, but you'll have to watch it.
I already got it. I think I got it. But okay, so they do kind of. I'm imagining they don't really tell you what happened.
Well, believe it or not, we're all still kind of waiting to hear. There's way more to that story.
Oh, okay, so that's something I just need to watch for. I just need to shut my mouth.
Absolutely.
About. Okay, so I get it now. So I like Shoutout's comment. Merle's out, peace. It's just like he's done. We don't even have to write about that anymore. So you see, yeah, okay, that show has got me hooked. I'm loving every minute of it.
It's excellent, man. It really is. I don't watch too many TV shows, and
Yeah.
it's just one. And I'm not even really a zombie fan.
Me
We
neither.
talked about this early on a year ago at the beginning of Down the Scope. I've said that hats off to Rad Austin for being able to keep up his interest in zombies, because I just think that the whole zombie genre in every form, be it comics, movies, video games, or whatever, I just feel like it's really played out. There's just not much more you can do with it. They've done
Exactly.
every kind of style of zombie: fast zombies, slow zombies, smart zombies, love stories with zombies, and pet zombies, and I mean, it's just crazy. They've done all kinds of movies and games and everything. Okay, but I mean, at some point, I just, it's like time to move on. Let's create a new mythology. I'm done with zombies and vampires and all this crap. But every once in a while, somebody can take the same old, which is what The Walking Dead did, and they still inject new life into it, and they create something new and fresh.
Yep.
And I really kind of like what they've done with it so far. There's still flaws to it. Let me
Oh
tell
yeah, yeah.
you, there's still plenty of times I roll my eyes out of my head because of so many stupid things that they do in that show. But overall, for a zombie show, they play it straight. And man, let me tell you, when some of the death scenes go down of major characters in season 2, they don't pull any punches. I mean,
Exactly.
it is rough.
Exactly.
Now here's the thing, okay? I'll tell you about one more. And again, I don't recommend TV shows hardly ever. They're very few and far between. I'm not a TV guy. I really don't watch a lot of TV. The only other TV show right now, and this again is somewhat even gaming related. They actually have a game coming out uh, based on that franchise, and this is Game of Thrones. Okay,
Right.
if you are not watching this show, it is the second most expensive television series ever made.
That I'm not gonna lie to you. That is queued up now. I'm after this cast. I start Game of Thrones.
Let
So
me tell you, holy crap. I wasn't on board for it. I'd never read the books. I didn't know very much about it. Everybody I knew was losing their mind over this series when they heard it. When all my friends heard it went into production, they were just like, I mean, it was like that was all that was being talked about around me. And I'm like, oh God, what is this Game of Thrones garbage? I don't know, I'm out. If it's got swords and dragons and crap, I'm out. So anyway, everybody was talking about. I finally it went in like it was like 3 episodes deep, and everybody is just going, "Oh my God!" And I'm just like, "Oh come on, it's a TV show. How good could this possibly be?" I went ahead and said, "All right, I'll bite." I watched it by myself. My wife had zero interest in it. I watched the first episode by myself, and I was like, "Damn!" So I went back and I rewatched it. I immediately finished it. I started it all over again, and I watched it again, and I was like, damn. So I grabbed my wife like the next night. I said, okay, hang on. I know you have no interest in this, okay? I know this is nowhere up your alley at all. You gotta watch this. So I sat her down and she watched it and she was like, damn. I was like, I know. So anyway, we went ahead. And again, this is very short. You can literally watch the first season tomorrow. I think there's 10 episodes. I don't need, I think it is 10.
right,
10
right.
episodes, okay? $5 million per episode.
God, man.
So you can only imagine the amount of talent, not only on the screen, but behind the scenes, the amount of special effects, the amount of production quality, and just everything about this show is as polished and perfect as any movie that costs 250 million you will ever go see. And not a single episode is weak. Every single episode, just you're like, oh my God, the amount of crap that goes down. And let me tell you, it's on HBO, and HBO pulls no punches on
Right.
sex, violence, language, whatever. Okay, they are just unbelievably brutal in this show, and also this show actually holds the death of one of the biggest. It actually was one of the most shocking deaths of any character ever in any television show.
I
When
can't
when this
wait.
character died, it was like it rippled across the entire like internet. Everybody was like, "What?" And it was just people like rioted in the streets. It was such a crazy ordeal. So I cannot wait for you to get through this
I
one.
can't either. By the next Down the Scope, I will have finished it, and we will have another show hour, I guess. It's just like where we talk about shows instead. But I mean,
it's a video game. I mean, bringing it full circle.
Exactly.
It's a video game, damn it. This is a video game podcast, but I'll tell you, there is a video game based on the Song of Ice and Fire franchise, which is where Game of Thrones is based from. The Game of Thrones is actually the name of the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire series, of which the series, by the way, is not finished yet. Which is really crazy, because they started this series based on the idea that by the time they get through every book being a single series, that they'll hopefully have the last 2 books written, which is absolutely insane.
So the series as a whole is called the Game of Thrones.
Now, the series as a whole is called A Song of Ice and Fire.
Okay, so A Song of Ice and Fire, and the Game of Thrones is one of the...
It's the first book.
Okay. And so each season is a book.
Right.
Okay.
But they decided to actually, I guess they didn't know whether they were going to be able to do all the books or whatever. So what they did is they decided to call the first, or they decided to go with the name Game of Thrones as the whole series name rather than A Song of Ice and Fire. And honestly, if you ask me, if you look at the whole franchise, when you look at all the things that go on, I do own the books now. I haven't gotten to finish them. But the thing is Game of Thrones is actually a better title for the entire story versus the first book. So I think that's probably why they chose it.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's pretty. So I can't wait to. As a matter of fact, I think I did see the game on Steam, and it got a pretty bad rating.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I really don't know. I mean, I know it came out. I think it came out just in the last couple of weeks, I think, and I know it was fairly lightweight. I don't think it was obviously a major release or anything. So it's kind of a shame, but
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it is pretty. I think it was like an RTS or something, so it was like, eh.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, third-person shooter maybe. I don't know what it was, but but anyway, you know what? Getting back to video games, because by the way, for anybody else listening here, definitely those 2 shows before we leave that topic. Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead. Right now, if you guys are video game fans at all, okay, the deal is those 2 shows are as close to non-interactive video game topics as you can get, with zombies and ultimate fantasy, and I mean brutal fantasy. We're talking Skyrim kind of environments, where there's various different worlds all tied together, and there's all these kingdoms, and there's one major, ruler over all the kingdoms, and there's a kind of a winter area. There's kind of an island area. There's another group that's across the ocean that you follow, and it's all of this apparently ties up supposedly in the last 2 books when I finished up. These are definitely for fans of video game worlds, because these 2 shows, I mean, they might as well be video games, and you just don't happen to be holding a controller in your hand.
Exactly.
The stories are great,
if you're a fan of video games, you will enjoy these series.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I don't really promote television. In fact, I've told so many people in that that don't really play video games, older people or whatever, who go, "Oh my God, you spend your time playing video games." The thing is I tell people like that all the time. I spend easily as much time as you do. I play video games, but what you do is you sit in front of a TV all day. So don't lecture me about video games. At least I'm working my mind and solving problems playing video games, and all you're doing is voting on what idol you want to win, on American Idol that week. There's the thing is I don't really promote television that much, but let me tell you, when there are good shows on, it takes me a while. I don't even bite most of the time until sassy. Yeah, take that. So anyway, the deal is when there is a show that truly is an outstanding show that really goes beyond your normal garbage on the airwaves out there, I do try to promote those, especially to the gaming crowd, because they really are solid shows. Really that cater to us. They cater to us. I mean, a show about zombies, for crying out loud. That isn't like a comedy or anything.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not Shaun of the Dead. It's actually got feeling. I mean, if there's one thing that a zombie movie can't do, and to be honest, a zombie game hasn't even done, it's make you feel this insanely attached to the characters in the universe.
Absolutely.
this is a whole new experience for anybody, not just me, but anybody who's a fan of zombies. Because I guarantee you cannot watch like, you know, Night of the Living Dead or whatever, you know, famous zombie movie there is that you enjoy. You can't watch that movie and get attached an hour and a half to a character as well as you can in the span of a whole season, a whole 7-8 hours getting attached to these characters in this environment.
Exactly.
Tell me a game, and if anybody says Dead Rising 2, where it's like, oh, yeah, I got attached to his daughter, and he had to... No, you didn't. Come on, really? I mean, maybe
Let me tell you,
maybe you
there
did.
is no scene in any video game like the scene in the very first episode of The Walking Dead when he goes up on the woman that is a zombie torn in half.
Yeah.
She's a half a body in a park. And he walks up to her, and the zombie is trying to get to him. And Rick, with his gun, he kneels down next to this zombie, and he's looking at this zombie like it's still a person who is just infected, and he starts to pity the zombie. It's one of those moments that it's just great filmmaking. And he kneels down next to this horrible creature, this zombie that is torn in half. The entrails are hanging out. It's growling, and it's all its flesh is rotted away. And he kneels down, and he actually looks at this person, this monster that used to be a person, and you can see such a great moment when he's pitying this character, and he goes, "I'm so sorry this happened to you.
Yeah.
I don't know who you were, and I wish I could change things." And then he reluctantly lifts his gun to the forehead of this monster and ends its existence at that moment.
Yeah.
What a fantastic piece of cinema.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. I cried multiple times throughout this show. I teared up.
Let me tell you, season 2. If you felt that way in season 1, season 2 will really get you a few times.
Man,
There's really bad moments.
I was choked up. I can't remember. I think it was that same scene that you're talking about. It was just the other angle. If you know what I'm talking about. So, and I was sitting there and I was like, and the episode is, I'm like, this show's sad, man. I'm like turning to Brittany. I'm like choked up like this.
Well, and especially too when the man and his son are held up in the house and the guy's wife is in the street.
That's what I'm talking about. And like he sits there and he pulls out the pictures and he starts looking at it. And you and me especially. I mean, if you're married, like Winter's married. If you're married and you start looking at this and he's looking at the pictures of him and his wife at their wedding and all that, and oh, dude, and like,
it's terrible.
Yeah, and so he looks at it, and then he pulls this one picture out, and basically he takes the rifle upstairs, and he like tapes her picture onto the window, and then he like looks down the sight, and he looks at her out there, and he's sitting there, and you know she's there, and she's in the crossfire, and he's just like, and he's just like getting so upset, and then he just can't take the shot, and you're like I couldn't do it either.
Yeah, same with me. I'm telling you, that was such a great moment, you know. And that's the thing is, there's so many great moments like that in the show. You know, it's really good. But
it is.
I'll tell you, let's go back to video games. I know some of the guys here are like, you know, I thought this was a video game podcast.
Yeah,
you know,
it's I mean, guys, hey, look, this is before a video game podcast. You have to understand that this is mine and Anakin's podcast. So when I want to talk about something and Anakin wants to talk about something, we will talk about it. So just get the hell over it. In any case, I do want to say really quick, thank you to anybody who's new here. This is typically a gaming podcast, but we do talk about other things that interest us. And as gamers, these shows interest us.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, like I said, they're somewhat gaming related. They hit the topics that gamers really enjoy. So that's why I think some of these are related, even though they may not be games. And in fact, both of these shows we're talking about do have companion games. Now, whether they're games that we promote, that's yet to be decided. But
exactly.
But you know, but by the way, I wanted to throw a game title out there to not only you but to the audience. I think I've mentioned it only once before in the history of our podcast. Does anybody out there, including you, Veridia, know the game Stranglehold?
Yes, I actually I saw a guy playing the game. Isn't this the RTS?
No. This is the John Woo game that came out back in 2007.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Stronghold. Sorry. Yeah, I know Stranglehold. I have played and beaten it.
Okay, so were you a fan at all, or did you just kind of dismiss it and move on?
Well,
what'd you think of it?
Well, I had a bugged cop. By the way, JCW, welcome to the cast. Wanted to say he's new here.
Oh yeah, hey, welcome JCW. Thanks
Yeah,
for being here.
I do appreciate you coming out. Anybody new? But yeah, I had this odd glitch in the game with the audio that I don't think it was actually the game. I think it was my copy, but it did hurt the experience. But the gameplay was really fun.
To me, it was really exciting, and the reason I'm bringing it up, okay, is there was to me, it was a really neat game. It was a third-person shooter. John Woo, the famous movie director, basically produced the game, and he basically made like a John Woo action film, but
Yeah.
in a game format where you play a third-person character that runs around and you get to do all these really wild action moves in the game in real time, and you've got all these guys that pop out and you're doing all these in fact, for anybody that has been around a long time in gaming, it was really very similar to Action Half-Life, which was a mod that changed the Half-Life multiplayer into a third-person mode and
Right.
added in all these Matrix-style slow-motion moves. Again, kind of similar to Max Payne in a roundabout way.
Right.
But anyway, there's a new game that there's been getting a lot of press, and they released a trailer last week. And I am really on board for it, especially, which a lot of people don't like this company, but Square Enix is putting it out. The game is called Sleeping Dogs.
Now,
Have
now,
you seen this?
now let me counter what you're about to say with the fact that the trailer for this game is the reason I no longer have any faith in Square Enix.
Really? Whoa! Now hang on, talk to me. Tell me your thoughts on this.
Here's my thoughts. Okay, I sat there and I watched a 3-minute long live action kung fu movie. I saw no gameplay, have no idea what the game was about, and then they immediately say, "Click here to pre-order," and I'm like, why the fuck would I pre-order? I don't know what the
That's
game's
weird.
I have no idea what this game is about. I sat there waiting for gameplay, and I was like, okay.
Now, now, do you mean like you're just talking about the in-game graphics, or are you talking about like a live action
No,
thing?
the whole thing was live action. There was not one one frame of gameplay.
Man, the one I saw is about 3 minutes long, and it's nothing but interviews and gameplay right now. Like I watched the gameplay, and I'm like, dude, this looks great. This looks like Stranglehold to me, which I really enjoyed, and this looks even better than Stranglehold.
Well, it upset me quite a bit because I mean this was actually probably about a month ago, and I was sitting there watching it, and like it started out, and I was like, okay. You can tell it's a game because you got the ESRB rating at the beginning, and I'm like, okay, and so I wait to see what the gameplay is. They didn't show any gameplay. They just showed this 3-minute long live action thing, and then at the end they're just like pre-order, and I'm like, why would I pre-order something you didn't even show me? But I don't know. The
Weird.
game may be awesome, but that I was just like, you know what, Square, you gotta learn to do a little bit better. One thing they didn't do there is they did not make me want to go see what the game was about. Because they pissed me off already. I don't know. That's just me. I am a bastard sometimes. But
Well,
still.
and I guess if I would have been introduced to it the way you did, maybe I'd feel the same way. But I actually caught this trailer that showed quite a bit of gameplay, and I was I heard some of the things the developers had to say, and I was pretty interested in it. So, I really enjoyed Stranglehold. I hadn't seen another game ever like it. And this is the first time that I've seen it. And apparently, by the way, I know some people played these earlier ones, but this was apparently the subtitle originally of the original franchise that this comes from. It was supposed to be True Crime 3. And so it's True Crime 1 and 2. I didn't play those. I didn't know a whole lot about them. I think maybe they were Sony exclusives.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know about them, but this is the original title was True Crime 3 Sleeping Dogs, and apparently they dumped the True Crime original title because I don't think it held a whole lot of weight with the gaming community. I think apparently they were poorly rated, or people didn't really have too much of a fondness of the original franchise, so I think that's why they dropped it.
It's not that they were poorly rated, but they were about cops.
Right.
So I don't. Is this one about a cop?
Yeah. It's still the same thing.
I don't know.
It's a Hong Kong gangster game, basically. It's the whole thing is about the the Hong Kong. Gosh dang it, what do they call the Oh, jeez.
The
The
Yakuza.
Mafia, yeah, the Yakuza. Yeah, yeah. There's supposed to be a bunch of that mixed up, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm really into. So Stranglehold again, I was a big fan of Stranglehold, and I'm really hoping that this kind of recaptures some of that. So
Triads. Sorry, it's
Triads, yeah, yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for the triads. That's it. I was thinking Yakuza didn't sound right. It really is a triads. Yakuza's Japanese. Yes. Thank you, Maltzer. You knew what we were talking about. Yeah. Anyway, that was one I saw this week. It's kind of got me excited. And then, by the way, on another game very similar to this, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with any of the marketing material for this, but I am ultra excited. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago. You've been playing Max Payne 1 and 2.
yep.
And I am unbelievably excited for Max Payne 3 because of several reasons. Rockstar has released 3 different videos now that are the technology that has been implemented behind the scenes on how they're making Max Payne 3. And we talked, I think, a little bit about the weird way they're doing the comic book sections. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, wait. You mean like the old school, like they
Well,
did in the first game?
Yeah, in Max Payne 1 and 2, they did the comic book sections that were the cutscenes between the episodes. As the game chapters changed. They had these really cool comic book layouts or whatever.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Okay, so in this, I really highly recommend you guys, if you guys are fans at all of either the Max Payne franchise or third person shooters, or even just Rockstar games. Rockstar rarely puts out a dud. They really do put a lot of style and polish into all of their releases. And this game, I don't think is going to be any different. They have a ton of new technology going into this game. So, for example, and I love this kind of stuff, okay? When a character gets shot in Max Payne 3, their body reacts as if they got hit in that location.
Right.
So if somebody gets shot in the shoulder, that character whips that shoulder backward, and then they stumble and then still try to shoot. So there's all this, and these are not scripted. These are not like these ridiculous things where in some games they kind of cheat a little bit to try to make it look like that. No. This is all done on the fly, and it's really what I expect from a next generation, third-person shooter game. Because if you're going to watch your character do all these wild and fancy stylized moves where you're jumping in the air slow-mo and you're shooting these characters, I want to see the characters react the way I would assume they would,
Right.
instead of just some typical scripted animations.
Right.
So another thing is, apparently the way that you shoot the guns have a little bit of sway when you're running and everything. Like you actually see the kick of the guns make your arms kick, and it's completely calculated on the fly. And this is amazing. So if you're running and you turn suddenly, your arms, it's not like they're spring loaded or anything, but it's like your aim goes off because you're trying to catch your balance. The guns are not accurate, and and he runs around with 2 pistols a lot of times. So there's all this wild technology going into it, and there's these melee fights where you get into a fist fight or whatever, and when you punch them, the punches actually that land affect the character exactly at the moment when you hit them. So I mean, there's so much technology going into this, and they've been doing this fantastic marketing campaign where they show all this new technology that they've never done before in a video game, and this is something that they've been working on, and apparently they're getting ready to implement this for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh,
so that's got
so
me
it's going
super excited.
So it's going to have a lot of the same controls and physics.
Exactly. They've been working on getting this stuff ready for Max Payne 3, and they're trying to they're trying to get it in there and get it working, and then get it to where they don't have any issues, so that it's completely refined for Grand Theft Auto 5. So man, I am pumped about that. I can't tell you how excited I am about that one.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to get through the Max Paynes just to be able to play it. It looks spectacular, and on top of that, I wanna get into the Grand Theft Auto as well, because that's gonna be. It just looks like I was reading some articles about how these 2 games are gonna have some revolutionary multiplayer or no, I don't know about Max Payne, but Grand Theft Auto for sure. They're gonna try and revolutionize the multiplayer, and I'm really excited to see how that goes.
Well, by the way,
Multiplayer-wise.
if you guys are interested in the Max Payne 3 thing, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's actually over on Rockstar Games' YouTube site, and it's called the Design and Technology series for Max Payne 3. I highly, highly, highly recommend this, especially if you guys are a fan of, like I said, either the Max Payne franchise, third-person shooters, or just Rockstar Games in general. This is going to definitely be a must-buy. This is a zero-day purchase for me, 100%. And by the way, the comic book part, where they did the comic book layout in Max Payne 1 and 2, they've got this amazing real-time comic book scene creator that they do from the actual animatics going on all the time for the breakdown shots in between chapters.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, you guys have got to watch this stuff. I really love the technology behind video games, and this is just gonna. I'm telling you, this is gonna raise the bar. It looks like fantastic stuff.
I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch that as soon as this is over. This sounds really neat, especially the gun sway. I'm imagining the dual pistols, like the aiming reticle as you turn, just kind of like does like this flutter like across the screen, and it kind of wobbly at first and whatnot.
Exactly.
It
yeah.
just I can picture how awesome that is. So I like that idea because every step, it's just these little steps that they're taking to make these games look more and more real. And if you think about it, that is one thing, is that you can imagine Marcus Phoenix with like two pistols, and when he turns, his arms never really do any movement. They're just always just static, even when he spins. So for them to actually kind of like have a realistic kind of a inertia to them,
Right. Exactly.
is pretty neat. Is pretty cool. So I'll be looking at that. I think now, Anakin, we should probably answer some questions, and I'm going to start with one of the questions I saw already, and that was Winter is coming. He asked, "What do we think of indie game producers, developers?"
Yeah, I saw that question. What do you think? Why don't
Well,
you start us off?
I absolutely love indie developers because these indie developers are making some of the. You got to think about it. They're making some of the coolest, most innovative games. They are not held back by corporate bullshit. So they've got full creative control pretty much over what they make. Look at some of the indie games that we are, that we play, that we're loving. Like me, loving Dungeon Defenders. That's an indie game. Let's see, there was Orcs Must Die. That was indie. That was all indie. He's talking about this game called Overgrowth, which is an indie game that I'm going to be checking out. I recommend you do too. It's probably amazing. Look at all these indie games that we have that are just awesome, like Limbo and Bastion, Braid,
Yeah.
and they have full creative control. These games are the most creative games I've ever seen.
Yeah, Braid and Bastion really, those two games stand out just because they were so, there was so much polish and so much work that went into them, especially Braid. Braid was one of the first ones of recent memory that I was like, my God, one person did this? That was unbelievable. That, and Bastion was as well. All the stories that made up what, how Bastion was created, where, the great story I love is the guy that, they hired to do the narration. And he had to go and do the narration in a closet at like the guy's house or something, this is amazing stuff. And, with that kind of control, these guys finally have the ability and the resources and the tools to create a game that is within their own vision. They don't have, financiers who are behind the scenes going, hey, you better make a game that Call of Duty guys like, or you better make a game that sells 1 million copies or your name's Mud. These guys just make a game that they would want to play, and they're being rewarded for it. They're making tons of money. Minecraft, obviously, is the ultimate example of that.
Yep. This dude is rolling in the cash, and he doesn't even know what to do with it, I guarantee. He bought like a new fedora. That's all. I guarantee you that's all he's done. He's like, can I buy this, Mom? She's like, yeah, I guess.
Well, he certainly did go up a notch. Forget it.
That's
Jesus.
good. That's good.
Anyway,
next question.
Sadness.
What do you think of the new Medal of Honor, Anakin?
The new Medal of Honor?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Is anyone actually going to play that?
Okay, so
Jeez.
the way I look at it, if you think that it's going to be much of an improvement over the last Medal of Honor, maybe, but
Mm-mm.
I mean, I mean,
No.
what I mean, but the thing is, it's like we're at the end of our console's lifestyle or our life cycle. Um, there's not much more they can push. I mean, they can make hit response, hit detection better. But I mean, pretty much it's going to be a faster Battlefield. If that's what you want, go for it.
Yeah,
I'm not even going
yeah,
to comment.
seriously.
I can't even make an accurate prediction on the single player, seeing as how Medal of Honor, the latest Medal of Honors was so horrible and
Oh,
glitchy and absolutely
terrible.
unplayable. I mean, I'm saying unplayable from experience. You can't tell me I'm
Me
wrong.
too. Me
Yeah,
too.
because I get like an hour and a half, 2 hours into the game, and I can't move. I can't like I checkpoint. I think I've told this story before. I checkpointed on top of a four wheeler, like an ATV or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I can't move, but if I look up, I can look all the way up and all the way back around till I'm upside down again, and and I'm just like, huh.
Oh,
What do I do? So I try
jeez.
and restart the mission. Can't restart the mission because it just puts me right back there. It's just like, whatever. I'm done. And I sold the game immediately. Um, so yeah,
Just terrible.
I,
Yeah, I played the demo. I tried to like it. I really did. I truly tried to like it. It was so bad. I couldn't even think of a game that was that big, that was had that much money and that much marketing behind it suck that bad.
yeah, it was pretty
Maybe
atrocious, and
maybe Brink.
maybe Brink was
Maybe
pretty
Brink
close.
was hyped up more, but sucked even more.
It was pretty. They were pretty close, but I remember. I'll tell you what. Both of those games I bought day one, and both of those times, I wanted to kill the developers, and just trash their homes and say, "Wow, look what you did! Look what you did to me! You made a crappy game. You know it's crappy. You know it's crappy. You know your online netcode is not up to par."
Oh, it's terrible.
It was definitely terrible. What does Brad think about Dark Souls? I don't know. It's all right. Look,
God. Well, somebody asked me, and you should play this by now. If you haven't played it, you're losing out. Somebody asked me, what did I think of TF2?
right.
And TF2 is a phenomenal game. Sadly, I didn't keep up with it enough to really become competitive, and now it's extremely difficult to get in there and truly become a major player.
Yeah.
And the thing is when it first came out, I bought it day one. I was a Team Fortress 2. I was all over it. Okay, I bought it day one. I have a couple of hundred hours in that game. Okay,
Wow.
and I played and this was obviously long before it was free. They didn't have hats, none of that garbage. Okay, I played it when it was Team Fortress 2, and that was it. And I loved it.
Yeah.
It was part of the Orange Box. A Portal, even Portal at the time for me was a great game, but I beat it in an evening, and for me, I didn't really go back to it, so I just ended up playing TF2 just for months straight, and I absolutely loved it. And especially being free now, if TF2 is not on your PC hard drive, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Exactly.
playing games wrong. Okay, this is one of the best free-to-play games that is out there available for the PC. It's excellent. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I've got it myself and I played it, but like you said, it is not easy to jump in and not have played it before.
You really have to. It's almost like it's like any of the other online, very competitive multiplayer games. It's just like Call of Duty. If you've never played a Call of Duty, you just try to get into a server right now and do well. It'll take you literally like a month to suddenly become even remotely competitive. And TF2 is no different. Okay, you have to say, I am going to play this game and become good at it. And you have to make it like your personal mission to do that. Because if you just jump in and want to play for fun every couple of weeks, forget it. You will just get slaughtered. And even if your team is doing well, people will still yell at you for being a noob. So,
Yeah.
just keep in mind.
Exactly. And I'm actually subscribed to a few people who on the side are like TF2 nuts, and they post videos all day of people who come into the game new and they just like slaughter them. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
and I'm
it's
just
terrible.
like, I'm not gonna be on that. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna be
it's terrible, terrible, terrible. Yeah.
Let's see. End had a good question. Do you think they will make a new Kingdom Hearts 3 within the next 5 years? No, I don't. And I think that here's my look on Square Enix. For all of you who want to know that, I got into this discussion with Tevin Talmain last night on his channel. We got into the discussion about Square Enix, and he asked me the question. He said, Veridia, what do you think of Square Enix? And I said, Square Enix is dead. And he's like, thank you. I just needed to know. I had to know that I'm not the only one out there who this company is dead to. And when it comes to the Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts franchise, what Square has done essentially is they become a big publisher, and not when they make a game, when Square develops a game, what they do is they don't focus on the Western wants and needs. They focus on Japan first. So in Japan, mobile gaming is like the shit. Okay?
Yeah.
So in Japan, these people work their asses off. Most of their time is spent in a bus or a train or a tram system, or in out at night in a bar waiting on some friends to come in, and then they go home. When they're at home, they sleep. They don't play a game. They don't want to sit down and play a game a lot of the time. So Japanese developers seem to be focusing on these mobile platforms. So when you have that mindset and you look at the Kingdom Hearts franchise, which the last Kingdom Hearts came out, 2004, 2005, Kingdom Hearts 2, after that, every Kingdom Hearts, other than these shitty remakes of their mobile counterparts, have been on a mobile platform, such as the Game Boy Advance, the PSP, the DS, and now it'll come to the Vita. If they make a Kingdom Hearts 3, I 100% guarantee you it will be on the PS Vita and will not be on the PlayStation 3. If they don't make a Kingdom Hearts 3, they will make Kingdom Hearts subname whatever the hell Vita, and it will be a Vita game. As far as us seeing a Kingdom Hearts 3, they've already confirmed it is not even thought about yet. Nobody is even thinking about making it. They're thinking about all these shitty Final Fantasy 13 verses, Final Fantasy Advent or whatever it was called, Final Fantasy whatever.
Advent Children.
No, it's.
Oh no, that's the movie.
Yeah, that's the movie. It's I can't even remember. Anyway, there's like 15 Final Fantasy 13s that have nothing to do with each other, evidently. They're focusing on these before they even think about a Kingdom Hearts 3. And the thing is, if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, think about this. Do you really want to play a Kingdom Hearts 3 after how convoluted the story has become with these mobile games? Do you really want to throw yourself in there? Because what they've essentially done is made it necessary, and if you don't have a PSP, you don't have a DS or a Game Boy Advance, you haven't played these games. And the truth about it is there's a lot of Americans out there who don't do mobile gaming. I mean, you know,
not to mention, I don't even think all those games are released in North America. I think you really have to go out and seek out these games and either get a...
Yeah, some of them are Japan only, but I mean, here you go. You've got Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance. You've got Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which was for the PlayStation Portable. You have Kingdom Hearts 356 over something days, which is the stupidest title I've ever heard. I don't even know if it was correct. That was for the DS, and then you had yet a Code RE Reloaded, which was for the DS. These are 4 games in which they have told a different story that adds evidently to the story of the main Kingdom Hearts. So if you haven't played any of these games, you're going to be lost, okay? You're going to be lost when the Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, and you're like, wait, what happened to Sora? Oh, wait a minute. Something must have happened to him. Oh, wait, they waited too long, and Haley Joel Osment's 37 now. You know what I mean? I mean, think about that. Who's going to voice Haley Joel Osment? He's got a deeper voice than I do now, I'm sure. So how is he going to voice Sora? Is Sora going to be like a grown-up, which would be pretty cool? The story's done. All right? Leave it at Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 2, once the ending is over and the credits start rolling, turn the game off and say it's over for me. Just do that. Because they ended it pretty much with, okay, the mission is over. The Sora's story's over. The only thing that hinted at a Kingdom Hearts 3 was the very end, where he opened up the letter from Mickey and was like, oh, Mickey's got something for us, or something like that. So... oh, Mickey's got a quest for us. So yeah, it's like, it's basically, you gotta look at it like, do you want it to continue? Do you want it to get more convoluted? It's like, I think a lot of viewers of the show Lost would have liked them to stop after a certain time frame, and they didn't. They kept going. So a lot of them were like, damn it, this show kind of sucked. But you know, if you really do want to see a Kingdom Hearts 3, don't get your hopes up. They're not even thinking about making it yet. And that game, with, I mean, literally, look at what's happened. Kingdom Hearts has skipped a whole console generation. It hasn't even touched the current console generation, and we're already looking at the next console. That should tell you what Japan or what Square Enix is doing with the Kingdom Hearts series as far as where it's going to be at for the next 5 years. In any case, that's all I got. That's my rant on Square and Kingdom Hearts. I won't even go on. That's just one little branch of my Kingdom Hearts or my Square Enix rant. In any case, so what kind of shampoo? No, I'm not going to do that again.
By the way, completely off topic, and I swear we're not going to do this again, okay? But completely off topic. I don't remember who asked this, okay? But I'm throwing a little blurb out there, and this is way off topic again. Somebody asked, what are my thoughts on Prometheus, the movie coming out? Okay, completely off topic again. I just have to tell you guys. I don't know who asked this. Maybe I mentioned it before. Did I mention this last week? Who asked that?
You actually mentioned this on your own cast a couple of weeks ago when you had that Call of Duty cast. We got to talk about movies.
Maybe that's what it did. Okay, but the deal is, I'm telling you, I just have to throw that out there again. I don't know if somebody was jacking with me and trolling me because I already talked about this movie so much, but movie of the year for this year will be Prometheus. I'm telling you, movie of the year. I just had to throw that out there. We're not going to get off on another movie topic here, okay? But I'm telling you, that's going to be movie of the year. And yes, I'm including Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises. I'm telling you, movie of the year will be Prometheus. So anyway, moving right along to some of the other things.
Yeah, since Awesome Super Balls, he brought up the Call of Duty franchise. Let's go ahead and talk about Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I see that's Awesome Super Balls. Thanks for bringing that up. I want to talk about Call of Duty. And
I actually think he made a comparison to what I was saying about Kingdom Hearts to the Call of Duty franchise, which that you can't really do that. It's like at least Call of Duty, at least they stick to a cohesive storyline. They keep putting their games out on the platform that I bought the original for. End of story. It's like you can't really compare that. But anyway, thanks for the question.
Well, what about Prototype 2? Did you catch any of the new stuff on that?
No, I wasn't a big fan of the first one. Honestly, I played Infamous.
Played it. I never finished it. I played it. I thought it was decent. I mean, I didn't think it was an amazing game, but I'm really hoping that what they do with it, they do the same thing they did with Assassin's Creed. You know, the first Assassin's Creed game was, to me, not all that great, but then the second one and the third one and so forth and so on really built, you know, a much better gameplay. I'm really hoping that Prototype 2 expands on the first game and really takes it up to the next level. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. The first one was just kind of a one-trick pony, and it was fun for a little while. I just kind of lost interest. So I'm keeping an eye on it. I can't say right now that I'm looking forward to it, but I'm certainly keeping an eye on it. I'm interested.
Yeah, I can't that it looks enough different from the first one for me to enjoy it. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't enjoy the first one at all.
Really? You didn't? I mean, you didn't even care for just the chaos and mayhem?
Nah, it wasn't me. Like you said though, after a while, it wore off. And
yeah, I mean that's true, and that's why I didn't finish it. You know, it is kind of like I said, a one-trick pony of sorts. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's just kind of, you know, it's almost like a technology demo more than anything else. And I felt that way about Assassin's Creed though. The first one, it just kind of felt like it. You know, it was like, oh God, I got to jump off another tower and do a goddamn bale of hay. You know, it's like it was just kind of like I was getting tired of it. And I know a lot of people really think highly of Assassin's Creed. Okay, and I know it's sold well, but you know, honestly, if you were a fan of that franchise and you go back to the first game, it is a far cry from like what is out now with Assassin's Creed Revelations or Assassin's Creed Brotherhood or Assassin's Creed 2. You know, it is you know, all these other ones in that franchise were leaps and bounds ahead of that one. But I'm hoping that Prototype kind of moves forward and does the same thing, because you know, I thought the first one had something to offer. It just never really went anywhere.
Well, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if that happens as well, because I'm always open. You know, I'm always open for ideas and stuff like that. But in any case, you know, I'm not going to judge it before it comes out.
By the way, speaking of another game, there was another game that was really, really bad. Dark something that just came out. I mean, it was probably 3 years ago now, maybe. And you played like you had to play against demons that were coming up out of the earth. And you were a demon brought back to life or something as on Earth. Darksiders, that's it. Darksiders.
Darksiders wasn't a bad game.
Man, I thought Darksiders was horrible.
What?
Did you like it?
Hell yeah, that was an awesome game.
Really?
Yeah. Did you play it?
Am I remembering this wrong?
Yeah, so you're basically like the apocalypse. So the four horsemen of the apocalypse are basically I can't remember the one that actually does it, but he sounds the apocalypse before he was supposed to. And the apocalypse happens. Okay? So like it just takes over. So he's basically got to jump in and fix his shit. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, so it's like a mixture of God of War meets Zelda, dungeon crawling and all that. It's pretty awesome, I thought. It was War, yeah. It was the Dark Horseman War.
Right, yeah, that's it. Yeah, War. War is yeah, okay. But here's the deal. For a console game, I seriously thought that was one of the worst looking games
What?
I had seen on this generation of console.
Worst looking?
I thought it looked horrible. Am I remembering this wrong? I seriously thought it looked like World of Warcraft graphics. It was so bad.
Well, no, hell no. It had
the style had these really bad, chunky graphics, and the animations were really, really bad.
No. It did have a World of Warcraft, like he kind of looked World of Warcrafty, but he had like if World of Warcraft was on steroids, if you know what I mean. Like like the gameplay was really gritty, and I mean like his character model kind of looked. I mean it resembled a World of Warcraft. What am I trying to say? A World of Warcraft type.
Well, as a style. I mean it was
style,
just the art style. Yeah. But hang on, okay. Now hang on. You really liked it then. You were a fan.
Yeah, I was a big fan. I actually beat the game and started playing it again, and I'm thinking about getting it on PC. Actually, I was thinking about it the other day because I'm going to want the second one on PC as well.
I borrowed this game from a friend of mine after it had probably been out a month, and a bunch of people were talking about it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I put it in. I played it. I guarantee you, I played it maybe 2 hours, and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't even look at this anymore. This game looks terrible." And I took it out, and I never went back to it because I was like, the gameplay is derivative. It reminded me of an old game called Hellgate London.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of. Now, hang on, everybody in the comments out here. Darksiders, am I alone on this? Did you guys? Is Darksiders like a massive like community hit here that everybody else loved? I mean, is everybody here with Viridia on this, or am I standing alone? I don't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you are. It was even critically, it was panned as being a good game.
Well, everybody I knew, everybody in my social circle, when I played this game, they all agreed with me that this was one of the worst looking games. In fact, I had a guy with a hacked Xbox. He wouldn't even burn the game because he saw me play it, and he was like, holy crap, that looks like crap. I'm not even going to waste a disc on that. Screw that. And I was like, man, I'm with you. This thing looks like ass. I'm out. I popped the disc out, and I got rid of it.
I like clowns get new friends.
I guess my maybe it's my age group or something. I don't know. It just seems so derivative, and then the graphics wasn't doing any favors to it either. And then I saw they were making a sequel, and I was like, oh my God, this game warranted a sequel?
I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was basically, it also had some of those Metroidvania things where like you start the game off like you're one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, you're like running down from wherever, Valhalla, wherever the hell they come from, and like, and you're a machine. You're so freaking strong, you're taking out these demons or whatever, and then like they smite you and they say you're going down there to fix this, but we're taking your shit so that you can't do it well. And you're going to have to earn it back. And then they're like, oh, by the way, here, this demon's going to come along, make sure your ass doesn't get off track. And then it's like you're running through, it's basically like Zelda dungeons, you know, finding keys,
Right.
opening doors and stuff. So it's got that fun dungeon Zelda gameplay with God of War fighting. I mean, you're unlocking badass. If you didn't like this game, the combat, you know, God of War is almost the exact same. It's like a hack and slash. I mean, you're even collecting the souls and whatnot, and you're learning new combos. You're learning new moves that you can implement into your combos. It's a very tough game as well because you have to. It's not one of those games where you can just sit there and tap 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 tap, you know, on the button and slash. You got to learn. Okay, this guy, I need to do this move to get on his back, but I've got 4 of these guys over on the other side that I need to do this certain thing to get. It's just it was an awesome game. Really was.
But you know, somehow I must have missed the boat on this because I don't know if it didn't jive with me. Because, you know, I think the God of War games are great. You know, I mean, you know, last week we talked about Warhammer 40K. You know, you know, oh God,
even Warhammer had that same kind of look.
Right. I mean, you know, it's just something about the look of Darksiders that immediately disagreed with me. It just felt like the graphics looked really dated. I thought that the graphics were very pixelated and the edges were very jagged. It just looked like the engine that they made the game in just didn't work. I mean, it just looked like it was bad. Man, I don't know what's wrong. I mean, maybe I am on an island all alone on that one. I'm pretty shocked. I had no idea that was even a hit.
Yeah, and now they're coming out with a second one, and Death is the guy you're playing as.
Jeez.
Or I'm pretty sure it's Death. It's either Death or Odin. No, Odin.
Well, see, I saw they were making a sequel, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe anybody is getting that. You know, I had no idea anybody was getting, you know, even played the first one.
Hell yeah.
But I guess, man, I guess I really am out on a limb on that one. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'd really like to see you revisit that.
Well, apparently I need to. My God, I'm starting to kind of feel like I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Maybe a revisit, and we stream it, and we kind of tell you where you're wrong in your opinion.
Indeed.
Oh my God! Well, you know what? 2 hours has flown by.
Already?
Yeah, we're almost at 2 hours.
Unbelievable.
And it's definitely thanks to the awesome chat. I'm telling you right now, I haven't been able to respond to all of your comments, but I have read most of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do agree with a lot of the things you've said. Jesus, Elder Scrolls MMO, not an MMO guy. Anakin isn't either. I'm out on it.
Yep.
Legend of Zelda, awesome, cool. It's the same thing over and over. It's got a crazy-ass timeline. Done.
Yep.
In any case, I think we're going to have to call it a night.
I think so. You know, these things get ridiculously long after a while. You know, YouTube won't let me repost this anymore if it goes over 2 hours.
If I don't stop where I'm at, we're gonna have a problem. We're just gonna keep going. You guys could ask me questions, and I want to answer them all the whole time.
Oh, and by the way, thanks for the Draw Something last week. Thanks for all the new people that added me. I've been playing Draw Something with fans of Down the Scope. So thanks for all you bananas out there.
Have you guys been trolling him? I hope you have.
Actually, let me tell you, somebody did troll me. Somebody trolled the hell out of me. It was fantastic. In fact, his name on here, and I hope he's in the chat. Let me tell you his name on here. I hope I'm not wrong on this. I think it was Icing 199 maybe, or was it Matt A? One of them.
Matt A.
Maybe it was Matt A.
That was Malster.
Who wrote me? He wrote it. Yeah, he wrote I swear he wrote War and Peace, but he wrote it 3 words on the screen at a time, and he wrote this novel saying, "Hey Anakin, how are you?" And then he would wipe the page, and he'd go, "I hope all is well," and then he'd wipe the page. And this went on. This went on for 10 minutes, and I want you to know, I read every word. And I was like, I even showed it to my wife. I was like, "You won't believe this. Look at this." I was like, "Look at this shit. He's trolling me." I was dying. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
And I did troll some of them back. You know, the the item that I was supposed to draw, I would wait after I drew some elaborate item. I would wait and then draw the real thing up in the corner, just like I said, and it was pretty funny. So any of you who want to add me, you can always add Anakin with 4 N's on the end on Draw Something, and I will troll you with ridiculously detailed drawings, and then up in the corner out of the area there where I drew my main thing, I'll draw some ridiculously poor example of what the actual thing to guess is. So so yeah, be ready for that. So
oh my God. Well, I'm not gonna join. I'll just take
yeah,
your
don't
word
do
for
it. Don't do it. It's a time waster.
I'll take your word for it. In any case, guys, I want to thank you again for coming out to the cast tonight. I want to encourage you to hit the follow button on the top left of the screen there. If you haven't made an account, please do so that you can hit that. That'll notify you when I do go live with the cast on Friday nights at 9 Central Standard Time. I hope you, it seems a lot of you got it down. You went and figured out how to check and all that. You can also check out Anakin's channel, yeah, which we will be doing. We're gonna try and set up. This week got a little out of hand, I think, for both of us. We're gonna try and set up a spoiler alert, and we're gonna do it on Anakin's channel, and then we can talk about our movies all we want. We get off on like movie and show tangents here.
Indeed.
In any case, you can also email us at podcastdownthescope@gmail.com. Send us any requests or topics that you'd like to hear. Anything that we didn't answer when it comes to questions on here, send it over there, as long as they're game or show or movie related and not about your personal life and your mom and dad repressing you.
Indeed. By the way, I have a quick something to add, and this is actually something I'd like you guys to respond to in the at our podcast downthescope@gmail.com. This is me, believe it or not. I'm asking a tech question because it's something that is bothering the heck out of me. This is please answer me before next week, okay? And Verdi, you can chime in on this very quickly before we finish the podcast. I bought God dang it.
Son of a...
XSplit, sorry. I bought XSplit
right.
last week, okay? Ready to do a lot of streaming. Now, I've done some streaming with a couple other programs. I was okay with them. I wasn't super happy with them, but everybody was talking about XSplit, how great it is. They're on these beta versions. They have super support, great forums. I've gone through, I've done some digging, okay? But here's the deal. I bought XSplit for one main reason, and that reason was they directly natively support the capture of the Hauppauge HD PVR. That means you can literally choose the HD PVR right. as a webcam, quote-unquote, device and directly stream format. So no more goofy capture like screen cap software where you have to do a screen area or whatever. Okay, so this means you're getting the true digital feed straight out of the HD PVR. I was all about that. It was the first time ever beyond the guys that make the Total Media company that makes the software that works with the HD PVR. It's the first time I've ever seen a streaming company work with that. Okay. For whatever reason, and other people are experiencing this just like I am in the forums, for whatever reason, some people with the 7.1 release of XSplit are not able to directly access the HD PVR hardware, and when they do, it freezes up XSplit. Now, this bothers me because I actually wanted to get started doing a bunch of streaming. I was going to do streaming of all these different games. I was going to start doing some LPs, believe it or not, of some of these games I wanted to go back to. Heavy Rain actually was one of them. And, I'm ready to do that, gang. But let me tell you, I've gone over the forums for XSplit. And for any of you out there who had any experience with it, or if you have more time than I do to comb the internet, such as I normally do for these kind of issues, my HD PVR is freezing XSplit. So right now that is preventing me from streaming unless I do the screen cap. So it's out there. I'm throwing that question out there. If you guys have experienced this, if you know another streamer that's experienced it, or if you have any tips on that, I've already emailed the main guys that make XSplit. Hopefully I'll get some back. And if you guys know of any other ways to get around it other than the screen cap issue, then please share them at podcastdownscope@gmail.com, or you can write me at Anakin with 4 N's at gmail.com. So look forward to hearing from you guys. If you know anything, don't bother to share anything unless you actually do have some information to share. Hopefully I will solve that this week, and I will be streaming as well, and we'll also get ready for the spoiler alert next week.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. So, guys, that's yet another thing. You can send your requests for shitty movies you want us to watch and talk about. It's an intentional trolling. I mean, you're literally like, oh, dude, I'm gonna have them watch this. Maybe we've already seen it. In any case, guys, thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. You can check our YouTube if you're here and watched it live. Go post a comment on the YouTube video when it comes up saying, "Bitches, I watched it live. You need to participate next week."
Absolutely. And by the way, it was shameful. It was shameful on my channel. I had 13 comments. 13. That was it. 13 comments on the latest Down the Scope episode over at my channel. So I certainly hope that many of you at least stop in and just say hello, if nothing else.
Exactly. Yeah. In any case, guys, I am Veridia. This is Anakin, and we are out until next Friday. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.